Okay, so this is part 2 of the video. I had so much footage, and I know that I personally have issues watching videos that are longer than like 20-25 minutes, so I thought it would just be more manageable to split it into 2 parts. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that for all the episodes or what. Also, speaking of all that footage that I had, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. So I still kind of look the same, but I didn't put makeup on because I want to cry. I'm so sad that I lost all that footage because it already took me like 3 days, 3 separate days to film the rest of them because I had like so many issues with my laptop, which I'm still having issues with. And then I wake up this morning to edit the second half of this video and it's just all gone. So I'm refilming it. Hopefully it'll be better. But I just want to let you know, disclaimer, I definitely look different. Like, obviously, this looked different in the last part. But, yeah, I look different. I know. Okay? I know. Alright. We're just gonna continue on. Jesus fucking Christ. The test in me, the gods are testing how much I love drag. Okay, so we kept this character from the original. Everyone's favorite character, obviously. He's such a little shit. Like, oh my god. He put a huge bag of weed in her backpack. And now he's acting like... I understand why people call him a gremlin. He is. I will be the first to admit. Gremlin. Okay, I think that's so interesting that out of all of the things in the world that he could joke about, he jokes about giving her a blowjob, which, hello? As someone who is dealing with like a lot of internalized homophobia, I think it's just so telling that even through all of that, he jokes about giving someone a blowjob. It's a girl, I know, so I guess it's a little bit different, but to me, that kind of clues me into the fact that he is more open about accepting his sexuality. And there are clues, like even later in the season, which point to this. I think he is, besides Chris from Scam España, I think he is the most willing to accept his sexuality. And this is just like one of those early hints. It's also one of the early hints that Mateo is Evan, which I don't love saying because I feel like Mateo and David are just their own characters, but for the sake of comparison, it's just a lot easier to say that Mateo has like Evan characteristics. And this is one of them because Evan jokes about giving people blowjobs, and it's one of the things that Isak is like, gay, 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 gay. And here we see Mateo doing that. God. He is sitting next to royalty. He really is. Yes, he is a gremlin, but also, I think Mateo is attractive. I really do. But sitting next to Amira, he looks like a rat. But I still love him. A childish rat. I love them. I wish we had gotten more of Amira and Mateo. And then we have him looking back to Jonas, flirting with a girl, and there's another like sharp pain of, oh god, my boy is crushing on a girl, how dare he. And I think it's just kind of interesting that he's all the way across the classroom now. He's physically distanced from Jonas as well as emotionally. It gives even more layers to Mateo's character. I thought it was interesting that they still decided to show Mateo kind of pining over Jonas, or even if it's not pining, it's just like there's the remnants of that attractiveness and of that crush, which is super realistic. And I think it shows that Mateo is a very emotional Isak, definitely. There's so many little moments in this clip that I'm gonna want to talk about, but that's the first one, literally in the first like 10 seconds. So Jonas is like, I'm gonna fuck that girl. And Mateo has like a sly little side eye at Sarah. He's like, oh God, like, what do I do? Like, how do I act straight? How do I do this? And then what he decides to write is basically just ditto. He is really just giving the lowest effort. I don't know how the boys don't realize he's not into Sarah, how Sarah doesn't realize. Because with this, like, come on, come on. Also, just this shot of him saying, oh yeah, we're busy, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And they're sitting on opposite ends of the bed. They're both on their phones on opposite ends of the bed. That's comedy. That is comedy. Yeah. So throughout this entire clip, Sarah is the one who makes any moves. She initiates all of the conversation. She's the one who leans in. Mateo is he's just laying there. Like, he's leaning up against that like triangle thing that he has on his bed. He's not sitting up at all. He's not touching her when they kiss. His eyes are fully open right now. He's kind of trying to like feign interest and like fake jealousy, but really it's just so they stop kissing. I love that too, how when Sarah calls him cute, he just doesn't know what to do. He just kind of looks down. He doesn't even smile, like nothing, just complete apathy on his part.
Okay, aber du musst es für dich behalten.
Okay.
I love that too. How many times am I going to say, I love that? I love that. I love it all, okay? But Sarah here, you can really see in their body language how each of them is approaching this conversation. Sarah is like sitting up. She's, you know, interested in the conversation. She's leading the conversation. Mateo is almost laying down at this point. He's slouched even more than before. He's just doing the bare minimum. Sarah really said, like, I want a boy who can breathe and blink. You got him, girl. I guess. If that's what you wanted, you got it, okay? Damn. The bar is in hell. Truly.
So, soll ich mal nachforschen?
Research.
Ja, wer
Girl.
weiß.
Don't play. He will do research. He'll do a lot more than research. So she's the one who asked, should we go to prom together? And then even further, are we together? He doesn't bring up any of this. Obviously, why would he? And then this is the first of a couple of times when Sarah asks Mateo a question, or like she brings something up, and Mateo responds with like, I don't know, or like, what do you think? And then Sarah says pretty much the exact words that she wants to hear from Mateo, not realizing that he can just repeat them to her, which he does, and then she's like, yay, this is a relationship. You literally just put the words into his mouth so he can repeat them back to you. You told him what you wanted him to say. This is just the first of, I think, like 3 or 4 times in the season, in the next like 2 or 3 episodes, where Sarah does this and Mateo just like plays along, and she apparently thinks that this is the basis of good communication in a relationship. And girl, it's not. Their relationship is being held together by like the smallest thread. Just Sarah telling him what to say. And I also really, really like that shot where we're on Mateo and then Sarah comes in for the kiss and completely blocks our view of him. I really love that, because she is taking over this relationship. She's taking over the conversation. It sounds like I'm villainizing her, which I'm totally not. I actually like Sarah. I really like the development that she gets. The show allows us to empathize with her in a way that The original just did not let us sympathize with Emma really at all. And the same with, like, honestly, a lot of the remakes. But here, really, like, she's taking over. And that is just as much Mateo's fault as it is Sarah's fault, because he's not being honest with her, and she is also not picking up on these hints. Something is holding him back. She doesn't know that he's gay, obviously, but she should realize that something is off here, and she doesn't. So it's definitely both of their faults. Yeah, he's barely kissing her, not touching her face, and then distracting.
Mit mir.
And she just goes with it. The bar's in hell, ladies. So that is yet another moment in which Mateo physically distances himself. He escapes the situation, like we've seen him do in pretty much every single clip in this entire episode. He ends up alone and leaving at the end of the clip.
90s Fashion.
Oh my,
Wir können Flashmob tanzen.
you gotta warn me before you suddenly just cut to the sun.
Ist schon nice, oder?
Come on.
Ja, genau. Wie
Chuck.
im Club. Ja.
I can't get over how gorgeous Amira is.
Ja, das ist eine gute Idee. Oder wir können auch noch Lehrer umarmen. Einfach so.
He looked offended. Like, the idea of hugging teachers just offended Mateo.
Ja, finde ich gut.
We know you're touch starved, Mateo. Just admit it, okay? You want a hug. I know you do. His fucking face. Oh my
Ich
god.
würde da nicht reingehen.
Speaking of face,
Die machen da gerade so
The
einen
face.
Vertrauenskreis. Weißt du, mit
gorgeous.
Händchen
This
halten.
look.
Außer du hast Bock auf sowas. Ja, dachte ich mir.
Girl. Come on. Holding hands is like their thing.
Bock einzukiffen.
Okay, so right there is just another example of Mateo having like Evan characteristics, but it's a lot deeper than that, I think. This entire video I've been mentioning action and passivity. Y'all are probably sick of it by now, but guess what? There's so much more. I really do think that that is one of, if not the biggest changes that Mateo goes through. He's been so passive with everything, really, his friendships, his relationship with Sarah, and here, all of a sudden, when he would usually just escape alone, like we've seen him do in every clip, he takes the initiative. He's like, hey, join me. Like, that is something that we have never seen Mateo do up until this point. He has been so passive in his life, but he's seen this guy before. He knows he's cute, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. And I think that tells you so much about Mateo and this change that he's about to go through. He hasn't even had a conversation with David yet, and he is already just being so active in this relationship.
Wie heißt du? David.
I also love how you can see in this shot that they're the same height. That might seem kind of like a dumb observation, but to me it always kind of felt like the Evan characters were always taller and older and more experienced and more mature. It was always framed in kind of an uneven way, which I'm not necessarily saying is a bad thing, don't get me wrong. But I think for the story that they're telling with Mateo and David, I think it's very, very, very important that they are equals. You know, David is not older, David is not taller, he's not more experienced. They have similar temperaments, similar personalities, similar hopes and dreams, which we're gonna see soon. It's not, you know, Evan is like kind of this mysterious Casanova who's like challenging Isaac to come find him. Even though David is definitely mysterious, it's not the kind of mysterious where the person is like begging you to know them. You know, it's like a more genuine mysteriousness of, I really don't want to be known. That's what David is portraying here. Just, it works better to me, and I think that's one of the best things that Druck did with David and Matteo. So by making Matteo and David kind of amalgamations of Isak and Evan, or just, separate characters altogether, I feel like that was the best way for them to establish this level playing field between them, which works really, really well. So throughout this conversation, Matteo's body language is very different from what we've seen before. Also, the way he approaches this conversation is very different from what we've seen before. He's actually facing David. His body is turned towards him. David is being a lot more standoffish because, once again, he doesn't want to be known. He wants to remain mysterious. And Matteo is the one leading the conversation, which is directly parallel to the clip we just saw of Matteo and Sarah in the bedroom. And they're on opposite sides of the bed. Matteo is laying down pretty much. He's barely talking. He's definitely not leading the conversation. But in this, he's the one asking questions. He keeps asking questions, even though David is being a little bit mysterious and not really answering them in a straightforward way. He still wants to know. Like, he's legitimately and genuinely curious about this guy. And he's letting it be known. And even there, like right there, David tries to kind of play off the question with comedy. He's like, yeah, I killed someone. And then Matteo, he laughs at it, but then he says, was it stress with your parents? So even through David, like, really trying to deflect these questions, Matteo is still trying to get underneath his skin and find the truth. He wants to know David so badly. And I think that is partially because he himself wants to be known. I think that is the biggest thing for Matteo right now. He feels just so lost within himself and he wants to be known by someone. Whereas David does not want to be known. He is actively trying to protect himself from being known because he's scared. So right there is where you can see the difference in how they want to be perceived by people at the moment. Matteo immediately is like, can I make a wish? Can I tell you my wish? Like, he wants to be known. He wants to talk about himself, which seems selfish when I say it like that. It seems egotistical. But considering how little Matteo has spoken, and even when he does speak, they're all lies, it's like a super big deal for him to actually want to talk to this person who he really doesn't know. And then David, even though he is the one to bring up the eyelash, he immediately pulls back because he's scared. He has that fear of being known because of his past. He kind of makes a joke about it, like, nah, it was just an eyelash. And then immediately after is like, what would have been your wish? His facade is ever so slightly breaking a little bit because Matteo is showing so much interest. I mean, and he's looking like that. How could you not want to talk about your life and be honest? This is actually also the most we see Matteo smile up until this point. So here also, once again, shows a bond, an initial bond. They both want to kind of run away and escape. They both have this habit of running away and escaping their problems. And Matteo, who is very lost within himself, he doesn't know who he is and what he's doing. He's just kind of floating. He doesn't have any idea where he would go. He would just drive away. Whereas David, who we know as the audience who's seen this season like 17 times, we know that David has experience, like actual experience with running away. So of course he knows where he would want to go, which is Detroit. I think this also clues us into the fact that he is a fan of Only Lovers Left Alive, which I haven't seen. I know I'm like the only Druck fan who hasn't seen that movie, but I'm pretty sure that the characters there like to explore like abandoned places. So I think it makes sense that David has like this fantasy of, running away to Detroit and exploring new places. It kind of clues us into him being a cinephile and fantasizing and romanticizing this idea of running away.
Und dann direkt nach Detroit. die Tour. Ja. Beste Musikstadt
Best
ever.
smile ever, really. That look that he gives David, like right before Sarah comes in, is just so sweet. Really so sweet.
Hey, na? Kein Bock auf Abi-Streich?
Oh, Sarah. Read the room. It's a gays only event. I think it's interesting here that
Nice.
Matteo turns his body away from David, but he doesn't turn his body towards Sarah either. His body's facing forward. He's not facing anyone. And that look of like defeat, like immediately just everything shuts down as soon as Sarah comes in and David has to go. It's so sad. Like we finally got a glimpse of the real Matteo. You know, the Matteo that is hiding under all of these lies and this fake persona. Albeit he's not good at being a fake straight, but still, he's trying and it's obviously weighing on him. And we finally got to see a little bit of who he actually is, who he could be if he, you know, surrendered to his true feelings. And then it's ripped away from us and from him, and it's so sad. We also see that David is the one who escapes the situation here. We've seen Matteo escape plenty of situations up until this point, and now David is the one who does that, which also kind of puts them on a level playing field. They're both ones to kind of isolate themselves in times of crisis. They do it differently, which we'll see like in later episodes, which they talk about running away. But they both still have that initial flight response. And the last line of the episode, I think that's somebody else. I don't know why that line makes me so emotional. You can just feel the longing in it and you can feel the defeat in it. Like he wants so badly to actually manifest that. He wants so badly for it to actually be somebody else. But he knows, like, at the same time, he can't just manifest that. It's not just gonna happen. So it gives me that same feeling of the second clip of him trying to live in this fantasy with Jonas, and then it being ripped away from him and him just knowing that it's a fantasy. It gives me that same feeling of this pain, but also he's used to it at this point. So that first conversation, I think, does such a good job in putting David and Matteo on a level playing field. You get the sense that Matteo is trying so hard to actively figure out who David is, and David gets close. You know, he wants to open up. He stops himself, but he wants to. You can tell. He tells him about Detroit. They talk about running away. You see both of their walls kind of being broken down a little bit. Running away is like a huge, 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 huge theme. And I think it's interesting that the song that plays at the end of this clip, right after their first conversation, mentions running away. A lot of the songs in the next episode, and I think the episode even after that too, mention running away at some point in their lyrics. Speaking of that song, it's called Bullet by Lost Name. It's a really fucking sad song. Unfortunately, it sums up, I think, how Matteo is feeling at the end of this clip. These ropes, they tie my tongue, and everyone around me makes me feel fucking alone. And I can't be your friend. There's too much in between the distance when we're shaking hands. May we run from home. Take back what you said, because I don't want to hear. I don't want to lose control. I don't want to feel. So I think this song does a great job of referring to Matteo's relationship with David once he's again confronted by Sarah and confronted by this internalized homophobia that he feels. He feels like he's trapped by everything that he can't say. And feeling so trapped all the time makes him feel so alone. And if I had to describe Matteo in one word from this episode, it would definitely be lonely. 100%. In every single clip, we have seen him feel lonely. We've seen him physically remove himself from people so he can be alone because he feels lonely anyway. So why would he stay with people? And he knows that even though they've only had one conversation, this is the only conversation in the episode where he has felt himself, the most himself. he's been honest. It's only been one conversation with David, and he already is like, oh, fuck. This is gonna hurt, isn't it? He just wants to, like, fucking run away from everything, from these lies that he's kind of built his life upon. He's only had one conversation with David, and he feels like it's already enough for him to lose control of this act that he's been playing. So I think that's finally it. I think that's all I have to say about this episode. I know it was a lot. I know I look a mess right now. I think we finally made it. I think I finally made it. It's taken me like so long to film all of this, but hopefully it'll be worth it. I don't know. I don't know if every episode is going to be as long as this one, but I wouldn't be super surprised if they were, because I've already kind of taken notes on episode 2 and it's almost as long. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear what anyone out there thinks about analyses of Druck, and if there's anything that I missed, which I'm positive there's so many things that I missed, feel free to yell at me